Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at WEGO World War II Stalingrad, built by Matrix Games and published by Slitherine Group. Now this is a game that's been around for a while, but about a month or so ago it got ported over to Steam, so it's accessible to a broader audience. So I thought it'd be a really good time to look at it. Slitherine Group was very kind and provided a key for us to do so. Thanks to them for passing that along. This video has 4 parts to it, and first we're going to give an overview of the game to talk a little bit about big picture context. Then we're going to look at some of the scenarios. Then we're going to look at one game in action to talk about some of the systems and information that are available, because this is a meaty Hex Encounters war game. And then we're going to play a full turn. Hopefully by the end of this you'll have an idea whether this might be a game that would interest you according to your likes and dislikes. So with that in mind, let's do a big picture overview of WEGO World War II Stalingrad. Set in the fall and winter of 1942, big picture is that this is the German 6th Army's drive towards Stalingrad and some of the initial fighting in the city in that 6-month span, or July through November roughly. So we've got 18 scenarios and 4 campaigns. Some of this action involves the larger scale drive towards Stalingrad, but to that end, the game actually has 2 hex scales. For these larger, more operational level scenarios, the hex scale is 2,500 meters to a hex. And then as the 6th Army gets into Stalingrad, for those 5 scenarios, the hex scale changes to 500 meters per hex. So it's more granular, it's somewhat low operational, high tactical, as the German Army and Russian Army start to fight for control of Stalingrad itself. So really 2 different game scales in the same game. Now, as we would expect, there's a bunch of different play styles that you can do. You can actually do AI versus AI and just watch the action, or you can take either the Germans or the Russians in any of the campaigns or scenarios and play those out. There's also a hot seat option, and then there's a play by email option too, I believe, don't quote me on that, where you could play by email with some of the scenarios here as well. Now, what makes this Hex Encounters Stalingrad game different from other Hex Encounters Stalingrad games you may have experienced? The big thing here is that it's a WEGO system. Now, most of the times when you play a Hex Encounters game, one side will move all of their units and then attack, and then it's the other player's turn, and they will move all of their units and then attack, and you go back and forth over a number of turns. Some games have portions of your side getting activated, depend on command and control. Some might be card driven, a lot of different systems. But the WEGO system is something that you may not have experienced before. It's hard to do on a tabletop, but it works fairly well on a computer. The WEGO system is both sides plan their moves, then you hit commit, and the AI meshes together what the intended actions of both sides are, and then creates the turn action for you and plays that back for you in the turn of in the style of a film, basically, that you're watching the turn happen. Each turn in the scenarios I've seen so far are 4 hours. So you're basically giving your orders to unit as to what hope happens based on what you can see in front of you. But what actually happens can be a lot more chaotic and unpredictable, because the Russian units aren't doing what you expected or hoped they would do. Units are there that you didn't think were there, and vice versa. So it creates a very different type of Hex Encounters experience than what you might be used for. Chaos management feels to me to be a fairly appropriate term, because it just is so unpredictable in terms of what you actually think is happening, because your opponent's moving at the same time that you are. And so there's a rough overview of the system. Now let's jump in now and take a look at the wide range of scenarios and some of the campaigns, just to give an idea of what's in here. So I'm going to click on Play Game. I'm going to click on New AI Game. I'm going to click on the scenario, on the campaigns on the right-hand side, and we can see there's a description, overview of the campaign, and then we've got the 4 different campaigns that we could play. Now up the top here, for example, starting on the 23rd of July, we've got German 6th Army versus Soviet 67th Army, and this is Operation Heron, so the initial thrust towards Stalingrad. Down at the bottom here, we've got the campaign Nightmare on the Volga. These are 5 scenarios in and around Stalingrad at that 500 meter per hex scale. So, and then we've got 2 in between there, Battle for the Bridgeheads and the German 4th Panzer Army versus the Soviet 64th Army. So, and I believe these are serial scenarios, so I don't think it's dynamic. I don't think what happens in one scenario impacts what happens in the next one. They're linked scenarios, but not necessarily one influences the other. So those are the campaign games that are here. Now let's click on the scenarios, and then we can jump in and take a look at some of them. We've got an introductory scenario, but as we can scroll through these, we can see a lot of different elements here. Let's take a quick look here at the 6th Army Strikes, which is the beginning of Operation Heron. So here is a big picture view of the scenario. We're all zoomed out. The map has a lot of different levels of zoom, so we can zoom in very close to our units and scroll around on the map looking at the Russian units. In this scenario here, we've selected the German side so we can see all of our units. We can see the Russian units that we know about. There's a lot more out there that we don't know about. We can scroll around and see what we've got for a battle picture. Now I can click up here on the information palette on the left, the far left, and we can see a tray of icons opens up. The bottom middle one here is show victory hexes. So this will give us an idea of what the Germans are trying to accomplish, what we're fighting over. Most scenarios have casualty and victory hex win conditions. You can see we're trying to get up here to the other side of the Don River, up on these two parts over here, and then also trying to reach the eastern edge of the Don over here with these flagged objectives in the middle of the map that we can see down near this defense line 0 along the river. So a bunch of objectives. This would be a 14 turn, so 3 days to cover this line to get to the Don River, and we can see the variety of units that are in here. So that's a look at a medium-sized 2,500 meters to the hex scenario. Let's take a look at another one. I've zoomed out here on this next one. This is one at the 500 meters per hex range. This is a battle for Stalingrad. The fight for Stalingrad has really heated up. We're around the Red October factory. We've got a lot of Russian units defending Stalingrad and what the Germans haven't taken of it. Down to the south, we've got Pavlov's house down here. You can see the Germans have taken a good chunk of Stalingrad now. It's the 23rd of October. This is a 13-turn scenario with the Germans trying to take more in the rest of Stalingrad. A lot of German units, a lot of Russian units, 500 meters per hex, much more tactical, high tactical, low operational scale type of scenario. There are a wide range of scenarios in the game. This is the introductory scenario, so only about 25 units per side, much smaller map, still 2,500 meters to the hex because it's outside of Stalingrad. We can see we all have got our German forces up here. Our objective in this scenario is to get down here to Kotelnikovsky and take this city before a Russian counterattack will try to take it from us. So a much smaller scenario. It's only 10 turns, playable in probably an hour or so once you get used to the system, if not a lot less. And this gives you an idea of a smaller scenario. Let's take a look at a big one. Here is a much larger scenario, about 250 units per side. And if we can see a countryside 2,500 meters to the hex here. We can scroll up to the top here and we can blow up. This is Stalingrad. So we are to the southwest of Stalingrad. German forces here, which we can see are all encircling this Russian bulge, which has formed up or still exists to the southwest of Stalingrad. The German goal is to shrink this bulge as much as they can and destroy Russian units, and then get close to, if not taking some of the objectives near the city of Stalingrad. This one is 39 turns, so you've got roughly a little bit more than a week to accomplish your goal as the Germans, or to defend your goals and objectives if you are the Russians. So again, a wide range of scenarios that are going to take less than an hour to this one's probably going to be a multiple evening affair as you command so many units over so many turns. I've loaded up now one of the larger scenarios because I want to show one of the graphic overhaul mods that exist for the game. This is called the WDS mod. And if we look here, we can see the maps are quite a bit different, a little bit more colorful, and the units themselves have a completely different graphic nature here. So if you like this look more than the functional look of the base game, you can add this mod to it. So I've just loaded this up here. These battleground sounds, by the way, are a modded sound file too. Usually the game has some music in the background, but I kind of like the battleground sound, so I added that. I'll put a link to this mod down below in the video description if you would like to check it out. But we can see a completely different graphic look to the game with this mod installed in it. A perfect option for you if you would like this look better. With that, we've now seen a bunch of the scenarios. Let's jump in and take a look at one scenario specifically to get an idea of some of the information and some of the systems that the game has in it. So I've loaded up the scenario I'm currently playing now, which is another attempt at Into the Woods. On the German units on the left-hand side, and this is a smaller scenario. It is 14 turns. playing as the Germans. The goal here is to take this city on the right-hand side. Let me zoom in on it. Zelenovsky. So to do so, we've got 3 days to drive the roughly 25 miles. It's about 2,500 meters to a hex. There's about 25 hexes to go. So about 25 miles to go. We've got to get through these light woods that sit in the way, and we are starting to run into Soviet resistance on the side here. Now, let's take a look at some of the units and get an idea for what they look like. Again, I've installed the mod here, but if we look at this self-propelled gun, I've got the yellow hex right around on it. We can click on it, and it's going to play a little sound effect for it. It's got 3 numbers on it, which is a 4, 9, and 7. So attack, defense, and movement for the units. And we can see that we know some of the information for the Russian units around us. Now, if we hover over it, it says there are 17. That's how many tanks or how many vehicles are in the unit itself. Likewise, if we hover over this Russian Guards unit just to the east of these self-propelled guns, we can see there are 640 troops. We know their attack, their defense, and their movement. But because of intelligence situation, we, for example, don't know very much at all about this unit opposing us in this city that our infantry has just moved next to, the one I've got outlined here. We know it's there. We don't know whether it's infantry or anything. Likewise, the infantry above it, we don't know its movement capacity, although we do know its attack and relative attack and defense strength. So as you get a better picture of what's going on and get more intelligence, the unit information starts to fill in around you. Now, you might think, okay, attack, defense, and movement, that's great, but is that all you've got to it? Well, if I click on the unit and right-click on the unit, let's actually make this a little, we click on the unit and right-click on the unit, there is an information tray here that opens up about the unit. We can see that we've got the attack, defense, and movement values, but there is a lot more here. In the corners, we've got the stacking value of the unit, which is 2, and I believe most hexes have a stacking limit of 9. Now, over here onto the left of the unit, we've also got a heart that says 82%. This is the unit's readiness. As you give units orders and as they attack and as they fight, that readiness is going to decline. To get that readiness back up, you have to rest. And roughly a turn is one day is 5 turns. You've got 4 daylight turns and then a night turn. So if you can rest your units at night, they generally be in better shape to fight the next day. Now, beside the readiness, we've also got a relative strength, which is 80% of its strength is at right now. So it's it's been weakened a little bit. It's about 4/5 of its fighting capacity. There are another very important concept in the game is what's called shock, and that's up here in the top right. Shock shifts. So depending upon the composition, the shock value, mostly it's armored units that have this. If you have a high shock value going against a low shock value unit, you're going to get shifts in the combat attack columns that are going to give you better chances to succeed. So maximizing shock is a big element of gameplay, but as we're going into the woods, I think that negates shock, so it's not really going to work anymore for these armored units because these Russian units are in these light woods right now. There are a number of other elements in here that we could see about the unit. There is whether it's supported by supply. You can actually allocate supply on a unit-by-unit basis too if you want them to, for example, attack. You can designate more supply to them. It's got a supply range. It's got an intel value. Just a lot of information that's available for each one of these units. Now, the other thing to note is that we've also got a number of overlays here. Let me click away from our friendly tank here. There is, in the bottom left, down, and if you hover over anything, it tells you what it is information 2 panel. If we click on that, it's going to allow us to pop up all the combat odds tables. So it's based on combat odds, attack against defense, and there's also battle intensity, low, very low density, medium, high density, and then extreme, attack at all costs and defends at all costs kinds of density. We've also got an anti-aircraft table, a barrage table, and then a whole beautiful terrain effects table. If you click on anything, it gives you all of the values of the combat values and the movement values and information you need to know about all the terrain in the game. So let's close this up. There's also a number of overlays to the game, and these are launched from the bottom button on the top left. It's a hex with an eye in it. I'm going to click on that. It's going to open up a tray. We can see we've already got the objectives one passed out, got clicked and highlighted. But if I click on the binoculars one, for example, it's going to give us a map overlay And this is the informational, the intelligence overlay. Now, the green is we have a high degree of intelligence, what's going on. The yellow, it's we kind of know what's going on. Anything else, we have no clue what's in there. Now, in the previous turn, we intercepted an intelligence dispatch from the Russians that gave us some intelligence around Zelenovsky. So we know there's 3 units there, an anti-air unit in the city itself, but we don't really know what they are. Likewise, we had a scout plane fly over around to the right here, so we have this yellow blob here as well, and there apparently is nothing there. Everything else has been picked up by our ground units, but we get this heat map, if you would, of our intelligence and understanding of the situation. We can also click on the heart here that shows the readiness of all our units, green to yellow to red, the strength of our units as they go through and we start to lose, take casualties, and a number of other overlays, our zone of control and zone of influence maps here, so we can see the red. We've got good control over these hexes. Yellow, we're starting to take control of as our troops move forward into those areas. Everything else we have no influence over whatsoever. So a bunch of different informational panels. We can also, if we want, now I've got the mod loaded up, but we could also switch to NATO symbols if we want for units, if you like those better. Those could be cleaner perhaps if you like those. We can show the orders of units. We can remove units if we just want to see the terrain. We can undo different overlays. So you've got a bunch of different commands really to help paint a picture of all of the information that's available in this game. And again, I'm very much learning my way through it. So the intricacies of supply and how to allocate supply and oversupply units, I'm still kind of figuring out. But that's a picture of what goes on in the game. Now let's play a turn to get a sense for what's going on. Let's go back to our unit graphics here. Let's do that. And let's talk a little bit about what's happened now. So I've played through 2 turns of this scenario so far. Our German units started to the west, and we started driving to the east here. Again, our goal is to get to the other side of the map, basically. But there's a forest in the way, a river in the way, bridges to cross, and all kinds of problems to overcome, not the least of which are all these pesky Russians in our way. Now, up north here, we started to attack, but we didn't really make the greatest progress. We did move forward. We suffered some heavy casualties in attacking this Russian infantry up here. But we have got to cross this river. And my rough plan was we have some infantry regiments up here that I was thinking we can push east. And if we could get through this initial Russian obstacle, perhaps we could sweep through this open area to the north part of the map and then cut down into Zelenovsky rather than pushing through the woods, which I think is going to be a slog. And we also have weaker units down here in the woods. These are all battalion strength for the most part, which don't have the same kind of punch that the regiments have up north. Now you can recombine battalions into their respective parent regiments, and you can break down regiments into battalions if you want more units. So you've got that type of granularity to work with your sides here. But let's go in now then and take a look and see how planning works, because we're in the planning phase of turn 3, and let's think a little bit about what we want to do up here to the north. Now, this artillery here has a range of 5, 1, 2, 3. So artillery has moved out of range. This one is a 6, so that might actually not be too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we could probably pound these units here. Let's actually start out with that. So let's get this artillery bombarding, and we can see the bombardment tag up on top of those Russian units. So we'll pound them with that, and let's think about what we want to do. We have pushed them backwards a good degree here, but I think what we want to do, though, is to start attacking with these units. Now, down below, once I click on a unit, I can see that I've got options in this little tray to this side of my head. We can move and attack or move and defend. Let's actually attack, but let's not attack. Let's undo that. Let's not attack with this unit. Let's attack with our other unit here, which is our larger infantry regiment here. So this is the larger one here. We're going to have them come up here and attack. So we'll launch an attack there. Let's have our other unit here, which are these engineers, start to move forward and see if we can drive past this unit up into the area beyond these Russian units. Actually, let's undo that. I've got a better idea. Well, it might not be a better idea, but it's an idea. Let's have that unit drive down here and see if it can hit these Russian forces here. Actually, let's send it into this town here. That should put pressure on it. Let's have this bicycle unit move forward and start to perhaps defend. I don't think bicycles are very strong here. Let's bring this anti-tank unit up as well. They're going to push up. and they will defend this position here. So trying to get across this initial stream here. Now, down here, we have two big infantry regiments, and they, 1, 2, 3, 4, they can't attack. Two big infantry regiments. I think with this unit right here, we should have them attack. Yeah, so we're going to have them go right in forward and attack. But let's bring this unit down here and attack as well. And actually, I'm going to come down here and undo this unit's move. And we're going to have it, if you click W, it waits for an hour, and then it's going to go. So maybe that will delay that other unit enough time to get there, so we'll get both units going together. Lastly, we want to come over here, and we have this artillery. I want to start them to move up. We'll just have them move up in a defensive unit. They are out of range right now. Let's have them push down here. That looks pretty useful. Now, these units have moved, but they haven't moved, right? Because this is roughly our defensive positions right now. Let's bring up this anti-tank unit, this flak unit up over here to see if we can get them across the river. So we could make progress up here. The big one will be this ground attack right here and see if we can execute that well. Now, I'm going to come down here to the southern part of the map, and I will give all these units orders down here, and then I'll come back and we'll be ready to execute the turn. So, and roughly down here, I'm trying to just move forward to the east as best I can, trying to cut off some units in advance. We know it looks pretty good, for example, here, that we can move this unit forward, pass through Golubinski here, and drive past it. So we'll try to do that. I'm going to try to, we'll attack down here against this infantry. Now, we attacked down here last turn when we suffered heavy casualties, although we did push them back. Let's get this artillery hitting them with a bombardment, and let's get this infantry moving forward. We want them to attack. Yeah, we're going to go. We're going to attack here, and let's get the other unit involved in that attack too. Everybody's attacking. Okay, good. So I'll set these other ones up, and then we'll come back and see what a turn looks like. We've got our turn planned out here. I want to show one last thing, which is our air operations and other operations that we can do. I'm going to click up on the icon on the very top left, and then we've got a choice of recon or attack. We do have a recon unit, so let's fly that over. You can see a binoculars icon. Let's see what's in here. That looks fairly helpful, because we do have to get through these woods somehow if we can't get around to the north, right? So we'll fly a recon unit there. We do also have one attack squadron. It looks like we have 3 attack squadrons here. So let's put one of these. And this unit's in the open. Let's hit them. Actually, let's make this part of the attack up there. I think we have 3 of these. Let's try one here. One here on this other unit. That looks helpful. And then we've got one more. Let's try, I don't think the woods is going to work very well. This unit in the open might be a good target. So those are our 3 air missions. Now we've got one other one down here, which is an intel mission. This is a radio intercept. This is what we used last time to uncover what was going on in Zelenowski here. Let's see if we can get some intel down here. I'm curious what, if anything, is going on in this section of the map too. So I think that'll paint we probably could have plotted those a little better. We also have a command one, which gives us some attack shifts here. So these will give us some column shifts to our attack. This could be very helpful. We got 3 of those. One up here for sure. Put the other one here for sure. And then I want to see if we can push this unit out as well. We'll put an attack shift down here as well. So those are our command and intel operations. Our entire turn now is planned and ready to go. So the planning phase of the turn is over. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to hit the green button at the top, which is going to execute the turn. It's going to ask us to confirm things first. So let's go through and do that, and now we'll get a sense for what the action happens. Proceed to the next turn. Yes. It's going to crank up the turn, show the style. Yep, and proceed to the next turn. It's just asking again for confirmation. And now down the bottom beside me here on this side, we can see we've got a menu tray, almost like a video control. I'm going to click the play button, and it's going to start to play out the turn. So we'll get a sense for the different attacks. Things should start to happen in a minute. The initial stages, things just get going here. But down here, we got our bombardment is going. Oh, it hit our own units? Oh, my God. We blew up our own troops. We did hit the Russians, too, a little bit, perhaps. All right, we got aircraft up top, bombardment hitting those Russian units up there. Oh, good. That was a good one. Air, full strength. Nice. A little bit of damage there. Our readiness fell 5%. We're attacking here. Okay. 2.4 to 1, and we lost some casualties, but putting the hurt on those units there. Down here, we got bombardments go. Oh, this is their bombardment on us, apparently. I see. Okay. And down here to the south, we've got an attack. Good. We pushed them out there. Nice. They brought in some air reinforcements here, it looks like, too. And now units will start moving forward. Ah, we got Russian reinforcements here. That's not good. I had sent this unit forward to defend, so they'll probably stop as they run into the Russian opponents here. So basically, our best intended plans here aren't working to the degree that we thought. Although, critically here, we did take this one town that's right in the middle of the screen to the northeast of this yellow hex. We did grab that town and push those infantry units out, which is good. Because now I think we can start to really push forward and get across the river here. With these units here, we've started to push the Russians back. They are fighting a tactical withdrawal, I believe, here. Yeah, they're pulling back from our forces here. Sacrificing ground for time. And that's it. So we can proceed to the next phase if we want to, but we still have all of the video controls down below. So I can rewind this, I could play it again, play it forward, play it fast forward. We can get out of the zone to go to the next planning phase, but that completes our third turn. And now we can look at all of the results here. So we can look at the ground attack results. It gives us all of the details on it. Wow, we lost 138 men down there and only took out 16 Russians. Looks like we did take out 2 of their planes, though, which is good. Okay, so heavy casualties there. The bombardments here, oh, no big deal. We only lost 1 of our guns. Some Russian casualties, and they fell back, which is good. Excellent. Up here, we did push through in this attack, pushed these units back. They took the bombardment and then retreated to the north side of this bridge. Largely, though, up here, both of our attacks successful. How do we do? Oh, we lost 490 men. Oh, my goodness, trying to take that town. That's heavy casualties. And I don't know if we didn't kill any Russians. Defender withdrew, but apparently we just don't have the defense information. Up here, we lost 52 men. They lost 16. Heavy casualties down here. That was a costly, maybe a Pyrrhic victory here as we attacked on those units. But there you go. 3 turns out of 14 done. We are making our way towards Zelenovsky, but a lot of learning and a lot of work to be done. That's a look at WEGO World War II Stalingrad. Be curious to hear what you think. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. If you've enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy our look at Panzer Corps 2, which is another Slitherine Group's game. I give an overview of the 5-year-old system and all the DLCs and all the gameplay involved in that. I'll put a link to that video up here if you'd like to check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.